Hello everybody, my name's Kanai Wanika, and welcome back to the unboxing, where today, it's Chainsaw Man time. That's right, we've got another S.H.Figuarts Chainsaw Man figure, and one that, from what I gather, is a little controversial, all things considered, because it's the probably most unnecessary and also kind of the most overpriced release within the line. That's right, today we are taking a look at the S.H.Figuarts Chainsaw Man. Wait, we're taking a look at the S.H.Figuarts Chainsaw Man, the Reze Arc movie version. Yeah, this is a new version of Chainsaw Man that's essentially the old version of Chainsaw Man, just a little bit more expensive thanks to the tariffs, and with some new sculpting, but not a ton. Anyhow, yeah, long story short, I really like Chainsaw Man, if you can't tell. It's really the one line I'm a completionist about so far in S.H.Figuarts, just because I really like the source material. It's the only one where I've collected literally every figure they've released, which is not something I generally recommend people do. But in this instance, I thought it would be fun to have a Chainsaw Man to pose next to the Reze that they are releasing by the time you're watching it this year, but the time I'm recording this next year. Yeah, I'm really excited for that figure because I really love this movie. I love the Reze Arc in general, and I just wanted the toys of it, and I love the movie, one of my favorite movies of 2025. And yeah, I'm excited to take a look at the first figure from it, but as you can tell, it's Chainsaw Man. You know Chainsaw Man at this point. We generally know how the packaging works. If you've been on the channel before, at least, you would be in on the we of that conversation. If you haven't, I've got videos on basically every other figure in the line, so go check those out. But yeah, as you can tell, it's fitting into that same general mold. We've got a window that allows us to look in on the figure, basically just standing there, head to the side, just because the chainsaw would be poking out anyhow if it wasn't poked to the side. On the side, we've got Chainsaw Man in the katakana kanji. I don't know which it is, but in that basic sort of volume logo style, but in green. It also has Chainsaw Man written there from Chainsaw Man the movie Reze Arc. Sorry about that. That's the main specification. It says Chainsaw Man, and in comparison to the original box, which I can go a little bit upward for, you can see that text is in yellow. This text instead is in green. It's a very similar box coloring, as you can tell. I'm pretty sure it's still aping on that same volume cover that the original package decided to ape off of. All of the packages are color-wise based on one of the Tankobon volume covers. And for the Chainsaw Man ones, they've been based on volume 1s. The orange and green and the yellow. This one instead is in a bit of a deeper orange, with a slightly darker green, and now with splatters of like a blood red, as you can tell, behind your promotional image of the figure. S.H.Figuarts Chainsaw Man the movie Reze Arc. All your usual copyright for Mappa, Chainsaw Man Project, and Tatsuki Fujimoto and Shueisha. Sorry. This one's made in Vietnam, so it might have some QC issues. In comparison to the original, which was made in China, ever since it looks like Aki, they've been based on, they've been made in Vietnam for whatever reason. So I guess just keep that in mind. Anyhow, that's the front of the box. Fairly standard stuff. On the bottom, you get your usual legalese. The American sticker is placed there. Chainsaw Man the movie Reze Arc. Chainsaw Man, you have him in a pose. At the top, you get Chainsaw Man the movie Reze Arc. For some reason, this is a Crunchyroll branded product. I really don't know why. I don't know if this is only on the American version or if it's on the worldwide version, but for some reason, Crunchyroll is in on it. I didn't buy this from Crunchyroll shop, by the way. This is a sample from that I purchased from BBTS. So this isn't there because I bought it from the web shop. I don't know why that's there. S.H.Figuarts anyhow. On this side, you have him in a different pose, which is lots of fun and cool. Chainsaw Man the movie, Reze Arc, Chainsaw Man. On this side, you get the S.H.Figuarts quote, again in green. Chainsaw Man from the movie, the little splatter, S.H.Figuarts. And on the back, you get a variety of promotional images and poses and stuff like that. Name the figure behind it. Simple style heroic action. If you've seen an S.H.Figuarts, you know what to expect. But let's open this the way you would from the side. Cut that tape. And slide it out. There we are. Instructions are on the side flaps. And here is everything that comes in the box in its tray. As you can tell, we have the hands, the alternate face, and the figure itself. Fairly light, especially given the price, which is annoying, but again, I'm a Chainsaw Man completionist, unfortunately. So now that it's here, let's get a chance to take a closer look at the accessories, which, if I'm not mistaken, are exactly the same. So we have the same set of sort of actiony grippy hands. As you can tell, they have a split down the middle because you're supposed to sandwich them in between your chainsaw. But otherwise, they're fairly standardly sculpted. They look cool. They have a little bit of nicer paint to my eye than the original, though, you know, looking at it now, the paint's fine on them. Well sculpted, as to be expected from S.H.Figuarts. Then alongside that, you also have a pair of fists, which are nice to see. Same sort of dealio, slightly, like, I guess, like, redder in color, I guess, in comparison to the original. Color-wise, a little bit more pink. Seems to have gotten their way into the skin tone, which isn't that bad. I'm fairly neutral on that change. And then, of course, as with previous, we have the alternate mouth with the tongue. I'll probably keep this one in on this copy since I have the mouth closed on the original copy. And yeah, it looks nice. It has the painted teeth, about as clean as the original from what I can tell. The tongue is nice and pink. And you have the usual paint job on the rest of it. It looks nice. It doesn't look that different from the original from what I remember, but this one does not come with the tie that the original came with because this costume doesn't have the tie out. So that's kind of to be expected. But yeah, those were the accessories, so I guess it's time to get into the figure himself. So let's do that. Here we are. Here is the S.H.Figuarts Reze Arc movie, Chainsaw Man in all of his glory. Let me get those feet tucked under the shirt, or the pants. That's non-ideal. The ripcord popped out because it's a, I guess, pop-outable piece because it swivels. I imagine this might even just use the same ripcord from the Denji from before. Is that? Ooh. Yeah, here is Chainsaw Man. Let's give a full workaround. And yeah, a little underpainted, especially in the torso area. There's a little bit of paint there, but there you go. But yeah, you can see he has some unique sculpting. Oh, I don't like that. And it's gonna be on the back of the figure. I'll live. Big little paint mishap though. You can see it. So yeah, it's supposed to be posable, but also it's gonna fall out so easily. I might need to thicken that peg. As you can see, this is the new Chainsaw Man. Oh, there he goes, and there goes his. Okay, they didn't really fix the tolerances on the jaw, unfortunately. It seems. But yeah, let's get in a little bit closer with this figure. Why don't we? And as you can see, from what I can tell, the head is basically the same. Paint scheme is slightly different, but as you can tell, it's the same sculpt. It has the little eye hidden in there. It has all of this nice, impressive, like, musculature, essentially. The chainsaw at the back, mechanical detailing from that. And it just looks very nice. I like the rich orange that they've been using. I think it's probably the same orange. And the chainsaw blade is nicely done. It is sharp, so be careful. It did stab into me once on the original, and I imagine this one could do the same, so just be careful. But otherwise, yeah, it's about the same, and you can see this going in, and there's just a clean split between that and the torso, which is kind of funny. As far as the torso, the jacket, or the shirt, it's kind of like it feels a bit like a jacket, but it's a shirt. It just kind of flows around him. It's in a bit of an actiony stance, so it does, it wiggles, that's interesting. But some of that does reveal some of the white sculpting of the shoulders. So that's something to take into account if you have this on you. But as you can see, he's got his sort of torso, which does look very accurate to his like muscly yet like very, very thin aesthetic that he does have within the series. Ooh, that's weird. It does work, and I do like the way the ripcord is here. It's very loose, unfortunately, but hopefully I can keep that in or tighten it a little bit with like some nail polish or something. But yeah, the back, as you can see, also has a lot of that nice rippling. I do like that there is a bit of a wash on it. I kind of wish it was a little heavier, kind of like the original. But yeah, and then you've got a little bit of that marking on there, unfortunately. But I'll live. It's kind of dirty looking anyways. I think these arms, since it is essentially the same shirt, are the same sculpting as well. I think all of the arm is reuse. It does look nice. You can see a little bit of like the mold softening. Might be a little different. The paint might be emphasizing. I think that's the same. You can see it's the same sculpt from what I can tell from the arm. Some of the paint scheme is different, clearly, but it does work. It has that same general aesthetic, which does, I think, work nicely and allows for some great articulation in there. And it just works good. The pants I wish had a bit more of a wash. They're like a jean sort of look, so I kind of wish they had a little bit more of like a light blue wash on it to match the shirt. As they are now, they are a little plasticky looking. They're kind of a bit like some of the Undead Unluck figures in that sort of plasticky look. But yeah, it's fine. I'll live. I do like that they painted the little button there, though. And the shoes are unique and different entirely. They have this sort of white scheme with the tan soles, and they look nice. I do like how they look. But yeah, from there, I want to get into articulation, because some of it's clearly going to be the same, but I want to see what is different for my own sake. So head and neck look about the same. There's probably going to be a little bit less restriction thanks to less of a collar being in the way. So it's dumbbell joint into dumbbell joint, which allows me to look up all the way, downward all the way, and side to side all the way. That is an issue with the original as well, that the face does like to pop off. But yeah, you can see a little bit more into that articulation. And oh, there goes the ripcord again. God. Okay. Shoulders, I'm gonna go over what seems to be the same first. Shoulders, I think, are the same sort of... that's frustratingly tight. Same sort of schema where it's like a hinge in there around where the butterfly is. There's a bit of a butterfly, but again, it's very tight. I don't like how that feels. Your hinge is upward. You have your swivel around upward here as well, which allows for its own hingitude. And there's a bicep swivel as well. There's a swivel down here on this single jointed elbow, which is able to hinge up more than 90 degrees, which is always great to see. And there's a swivel down there to account for the fact that the hand doesn't swivel, but it does swivel the chainsaw with it. Very well thought out. Doesn't feel as good as the original, though. Oh no, I don't know where. Oh, there we are. A very small piece. This seems to be able to swivel, but it's also fucking sucks, and it pops out all the time. But yeah, this does swivel seemingly, though you might want to glue it in place, all things considered, because it seems like a bit of an annoyance, or at least thicken the peg that the ripcord is on, as I've been saying this whole fucking time. The jacket isn't articulated, but it's a floating piece, so it can wiggle sort of like back and forth, sort of, depending on how you articulate it. And this torso actually does look pretty cool, so it looks like it's a ball joint, ball joint, ball joint, which allows for some really natural movement. So the upper ball joint is able to crunch in a little bit and arc back a little bit, and then there's the second one, which is able to arch forward more and arch back more, and then you also have the little ball joint around the connection here, I think? Yeah. So you're able to get that much crunch forward, which is crazy, all things considered, and a wonderful crunch back, somewhat limited by the sculpting of the shirt, though you can wiggle that out of the way a little bit. And yeah, that's pretty intense for an arc back, all things considered. And side, and it looks natural too. It's very well thought out, very well engineered, very well designed. Side to side also looks nice and natural. Some of the nicest looking articulation I've seen in a figure. Able to kick forward about yay far, and yeah, able to kick forward. Is there a drop down? There might be a drop down. It's on your usual SHF hinge. Able to kick out about that far, not all the way unfortunately, but enough. Able to kick back that far. It does hit the butt sculpt slightly, but it is able to swivel slightly out of the way. You have your thigh swivel. I think the pants might be reuse, maybe. Yeah, I think they're reuse, huh? Okay, whatever. Double jointed knee, as was seen before, able to kick all the way back. And the feet are, I think, made using some of the same joints, but uniquely engineered. So we have a ball joint up top into a hinge, which has your usual hinge and swivel. You're able to knock it into place, but it is able to kick forward about yay far, back about yay far, has your ball joint up there, which allows for a swivel as well up there, and is able to hinge all the way. So, heck, that's even more foot articulation than the original. And, like, in some way, this release, I think, might be better than the original, but in other ways, it is unfortunately worse. Just, like, in build quality, it doesn't feel as nice. I think that's part of the Vietnam factory difference, because the original was in the Chinese factory. So I think it's not quite as nice feeling, or as nice looking as the original, but in a way, I think it does have, like, more articulation. It feels like they have developed from the previous release, which makes this feel somewhat justified, even though it does use a lot of reuse in the process of making itself a reality. I guess, let's get them into similar poses. Yeah, this overlay is really fussy. Oh, Yeah, those shoulders are way tighter and don't feel like they're willing to do as much. And this fucking... And like you can see, it's like a little janked up on my end too. So yeah, here's it next to, as you can see, the original, which, to be fair, it is reusing parts from one of my favorite action figures of all time. The S.H.Figuarts Chainsaw Man is stupendous, and this is reusing a lot of that, and in doing so, is just really good. These are well-engineered figures, well-thought-out, well-sculpted figures, and again, in some ways, I do think this is better. The torso engineering on the new one is just so impressive. I have to point that out. And the ankles do get more range just by nature of being made out of a somewhat nicer foot, or nicer type of shoe to articulate. What this one did, don't get me wrong, is impressive, but the high top, just with like the way it interacts with the rest of the foot, is just inherently going to have issues with articulation. But this one just feels so much nicer to handle. There's a lot less like awkward tightness, and there's a lot less falling off. Yes, the jaw has had its issues, but now that's being added to this, as well as the shoulders just being too tight. And as you can tell, it does have a slightly nicer finish to it. Though, in my opinion, none of the new one's issues are nearly enough for me to tell you to get the old one over the new one, outside of just like, if you like the classic aesthetic more than the Reze Arc movie aesthetic. I do think this is a decent stand-in. I do think either way, with either one, you should probably wait for a price drop, because it is a little bit overpriced, especially the new one. You are at least getting what is essentially another version of one of my favorite action figures of all time. Is it my favorite S.H.Figuarts Chainsaw Man release of the year? No, because Aki is also really impressive, and is also entirely new. But this does feel like it'll stand in nicely within my Reze Arc portion of my Chainsaw Man collection to fight Bomb Girl on the shelf. And then I'll also take the other Denji that I have, because this is the third Denji in the line, and have that one just stand next to Reze. So yeah, I do think it does have some merit. Again, that torso is impressive as hell. It is such a cool torso piece. But yeah, it is not necessarily, of all the Chainsaw Man releases, probably not the one that you should be jumping at the bit for, because it's essentially this one for a new audience. Though I do not bemoan giving a new way to buy a basic Chainsaw Man figure for new fans of the series who might have got into it with the Reze Arc movie's release. Especially since this figure is like 2 years old now, and it's a bit hard to find. But yeah, I think if you haven't gotten this Chainsaw Man, I do recommend it. Maybe put some hot water on the shoulder joints and thicken up the joint in the starter. But yeah, there's not much more to say outside of, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, do all the usual YouTube stuff. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. Let me know what other figure lines I should try out. If you do want to see more figures from this line, such as my old unboxing, to be fair, of this figure, as well as my unboxings of the rest of the S.H.Figuarts Chainsaw Man line, the figures of Power, Katana Man, Makima, Denji, and Aki Hayakawa, those are all available on the channel right now, so go check those out if you have the chance. And until next time, I'll see you around. Bye-bye!